This is not a journal reading today. This is off the cuff because I was feeling inspired as I was thinking about this last night. The place that I am in now, compared to the place that I have been, is much more at peace and much more grateful for everything that has happened. And when I first came out of it, I was still numb. I was detached. My nervous system was in chaos. I was shaking. When I heard loud noises, I would shake for no reason, entire body. And when I let things in, I couldn't stop crying. And I was exhausted, and I just needed so much sleep. And it wasn't because I was weak. It was because when I finally let everything in, my body realized that it was safe. And it finally calmed down. When you're in situations that are highly stressful, your autonomic nervous system ramps up. Your sympathetic nervous system goes into overdrive, and that's your fight or flight response. When you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, when you're constantly tense and feeling like you need to protect yourself, when you don't feel safe, whether it's emotionally safe, physically safe, anything, when you don't feel safe or when you feel there's any kind of a threat, your sympathetic nervous system is running the show. I had been dealing with health issues more and more strongly as time went. Conflict would get worse. My stomach would get worse, which would then also exacerbate the bickering and the toxicity in the relationship. And I contributed to it. I'm not saying that I'm completely innocent. Toxic relationships pull something out of you that you have to take accountability for, but you also have to acknowledge that that's not you, and that's not who you want to be. I got into this position where my body finally started feeling safe again. And as I slept, as I cried, as I just shook, I started healing. And my stomach got better. My health significantly got better. Everything in my life changed. It wasn't just the relationship, it was the environment that I was in, it was the people that I was around, it was the energy, it was moving across the country twice. And I mean, there were still stressors. I was broke figuring it out. I had both of my dogs. I was moving them across the country and all of my stuff. At the time, I was living at my cousin's house and sleeping at my clinic. It was rough. In another situation, I had exited a relationship and I didn't have a place to live. And I was just starting a business. I had zero income. And I had just rented a space for my clinic. So now I had expenses. I had zero clients. Nobody knew I was a thing because I was just starting. And I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. And my family, some of my family told me, just give up, move home, get a job. We'll help you get a job here. And that's not me. That's not something that I would ever do. So I made it work. I slept on friends' couches. I went and I hustled. I got money. I helped people. I built the business. In that process, I started losing my femininity because I was in such a masculine energy of hustle and make it work. I was in survival mode. And then if we look at that in toxic relationships, you're in survival mode. You are in your masculine energy when you don't feel safe to be yourself, when you don't feel safe to be authentic. Bringing this all back around, as my body was calming down, I was finally able to feel soft and feel light again. I was finally able to get back into my feminine energy and finally feel. And that's why I started just letting everything in, because she was safe to be seen. And I'll tell you, of the toxicity that I have lived through, one of the things that made me feel the most seen, that hit me the hardest, was the night that I sat there and watched It Ends With Us. Because at the end of the movie, I thought, damn, I went through so much more. She left after nothing. And that was part of the healing journey, was finally having some sort of outlet where I felt seen. And I got the permission that I needed, that I was still searching for, because I was still that wounded little girl with abandonment and limiting self-beliefs. And I thought I was stupid, and I thought people were better than me. And I thought I wasn't worthy of things. And I got permission to leave one of my relationships from a therapist who was like, this is not okay. Look at you. You're not okay. And she told me at minimum to go get an Airbnb just for a week, a month. She told me to be separate, and so I did. And that was the beginning of finding time for myself. That was the beginning of thinking for myself again, and beginning to not listen to what I was being told. That, Caitlin, this doesn't make any sense. Caitlin, this is so easy to understand. Caitlin, you don't know how to communicate. Because I would get so lost or confused in conversations. And when I was so, it got to a point where it was so bad that I would just be so forgetful. And it happens, it affects your memory because your system has just been on overdrive and it's just trying to protect you. But it got to the point where I was having conversations, and the person that I was living with would tell me that I said something that I didn't recall saying, or that I wouldn't be able to that I couldn't understand something that they said, and I was just trying to understand, and they would treat me like I'm stupid because it wasn't that hard to understand. I've been hit once in one relationship, and I think the thing that I was so insecure about, or the thing that I doubted myself with being in a toxic relationship, was that I was like, well, but he didn't hit me. And so I can't say that, this isn't okay, or that this is abusive or anything like that, because he didn't hit me. And that was the language and the thought patterns that I would tell myself that created more self-doubt, to think that I'm the problem. And I think that's what makes it gray and not black and white. Maybe people don't leave their partners because the stigma is that a relationship is only bad if somebody hits you, because you've already tolerated so much and you're desensitized to all the other things, and it's not that bad, and sometimes it's good, and so maybe you're just the problem. But seeing it ends with us brought it to life. And I saw the good, and I saw the bad, and I saw the back and forth. And I think that's probably one of the most powerful movies that I have ever watched. And I watched it 3 times that week. And when I gave myself permission to pull away, that was when I started getting my power back. And it's hard. People don't understand that with the good times and the bad times, there are still the good times, and that you love the person. And they say, just leave. But you have all that self-doubt in your head. And you have the good times. And you have what they're telling you. And they're the only one with all the other context. It's just you and them. If you've been through or are going through something like that, I can relate. I've been in toxic relationships, emotionally abusive. I see you. I was you. I am you. And if you're in that darkness and you can't see the light, just remember you are the light. And you're going to make it through. You just got to put yourself first.